I know it's a hard situation to comment. If I give a lot of
I wasn't supposed to start Ruben Amorim's press conference bit right there. Of course he didn't. But I've got a clip of what Ruben Amorim actually said in the press conference yesterday at Carrington. The embargo version is out and it is eye-opening. It's brilliant. And Ruben Amorim, our manager, our head coach, has got got control over the whole situation. It's brilliant to listen to and how he deals with really, really difficult questions from the media yesterday. And I think that's where we want to start our show with today. Just to show that with everything that is going on, the melee, the mess, and how Ruben Amorim talks about Rashford, about Garnacho, about the leaks coming out of Manchester United, there were serious questions. What would you have done about the situation you're in if you were as a player at this time? And going right in, media trying to take full advantage of Ruben Amorim, but he has come back and he has handled the situation brilliantly. I'm just going to play you that clip now so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I didn't mean to play it right at the start. That's my mistake. But let's get into that now, shall we?
I know it's a hard situation to comment. If I give a lot of importance, it will have big lines in the newspaper. And I say that is not a problem. My standards is getting low, so I will deal with that. I understand that my focus is not to take the attention from the game, from the team, what we did in the last game, and put on Marcus. What I'm saying is that the team is more important than the individual. We'll assess at the right time. Let's focus on the game. That's
Alejandro reacted to the disappointment of not being in the squad on Sunday. Have you spoken to him?
Really good. Trained really well. He seems a little bit upset with me, and that is perfect. I was really happy because I will do the same. And he's ready for this game, so we'll see in the end of this training.
Was Marcus upset as well?
Marcus was sick.
And there were more difficult questions on top of that, which we'll also get into now. But you get the gist of where his mood is at. It's laughing off the situation completely, playing it down and not wanting everything to be about a certain Manchester United forward named as Marcus Rashford. And yeah, I think he handled it absolutely brilliantly. We got a little snippet of how he was going to handle it yesterday in the first part of that press conference and what he said regarding the situation, how he's not spoken to Marcus Rashford yet. So he just teed us all up. And then later on into the press conference, I feel like because that was going to be released last night, the questions were sort of moved across to what really was happening, what's happened since Sunday, since dropping both Garnacho and Marcus Rashford. So really, when you look at how he's answered the questions there in terms of not wanting to make it big headlines, not wanting to make it a big deal, I think this is just a shot back at Marcus Rashford and just saying, look, nothing is going to change no matter what you do. And I think the club have to stand by him on that situation. The club only had a few hours to respond or to get to grips with them quotes. Obviously, they were notified of the interview just before pieces of it were released by Henry Winter. So the club didn't have much time. Ruben Amorim's had a lot to process, and I think he's dealt with it really well. I think he's actually smashed it out the park in that press conference yet again. And when talking about Marcus Rashford, is he upset? You can see his demeanour. You can see because he goes from Garnacho to Rashford in the questioning there, and you can see how his mood just sort of switches across straight away to the situation. Inside, I think he's absolutely fuming. I think he's seething with Marcus Rashford, but he's not going to let that play out. So obviously, he's got to have it under control for the rest of the squad. And like he said there in the press conference, he has to concentrate on Tottenham Hotspur. That's where he is going. That's what he has to do. He expects a lot from every single player in his squad, and it's the same for every single one of them. There isn't one player that is going to get preferential treatment to anybody else. And I think in what he was talking about there around Marcus Rashford and him still wanting him to be at the football club, like he said in the press conference first part yesterday, where he was saying we're better with Marcus Rashford, but he wants the best out of every single player. He wants every single player to strive to get to the highest level that they possibly can, and we're going to help them get there. He wants that Marcus Rashford there. He doesn't want this Marcus Rashford. And the media did ask him, like the last question of the press conference was around, if this situation came about, what would you do? If you were dropped like that and you was one of the bigger players in the team, what would you do? Would you go and speak to the manager, or would you go and do an interview? And he laughed it off. He joked around it. He didn't want to take it seriously, but within that tone of tongue-in-cheek, he did say, obviously, I would go and speak to the manager, but everybody's different. And we know what Marcus Rashford's like. Every single United fan knows what he's like. And Ruben Amorim is just getting used to this now. He's just getting used to the circus, which is Manchester United. And you could tell in that press conference, he knew. When Jamie Jackson, for instance, of The Guardian, was saying to him there, and that was the opening bit there, the response there where he said, I don't want to make it a big headline in the paper. That was Jamie Jackson's question. Who was the one who was saying Marcus Rashford is up for sale on Monday? He broke that headline. And he was asking him, like, if you are preparing for games and you want everybody on the same level and fully understanding of what you want to do to get the best out of them, you need to be mentally prepared. If you've got a player like Marcus Rashford who is doing interviews and clearly says he doesn't want to be at the club or wants to be away from the club, is that helpful? Is that going to be a different scenario to everybody else? And can you help Marcus Rashford in that? If he wants to be away, is that something that you can deal with in your full preparation, basically, of where you're at right now? When you're just into Manchester United, there's a lot to do. There's a lot of unrest within the squad already. There's a lot going on outside, obviously, that we've seen in over the last couple of weeks. Can you will afford to have one of your big players, as soon as you put your foot down, then kicking off and going behind the club's back and doing another interview to try and make it look like you're being hard done to? Because we know that that's what Marcus Rashford has done. We know his people have advised him on that side of things. And Ruben Amorim, he laughed it off. He left it off. He doesn't want to make it about Rashford. He doesn't want to give him the airtime, by the sounds of it. And that for me is a sign of a man that he's going to take no nonsense at Manchester United, no matter who it is. And that's why I think the obvious answer, which he wasn't going to say in the press conference yesterday, is that Marcus will not be part of this matchday squad again. And no matter what you look at, no matter what we talk about Marcus Rashford going over the next few days, months, into the summer transfer window, it doesn't matter to Ruben Amorim. It don't matter what you do, you are not coming straight back in this side. For instance, the prime example to compare the situations next to each other is Marcus Rashford, the Belfast bend-off that went on last season, January, coming up to a similar time of year again, funnily enough, only a few weeks apart from this incident. And he didn't make it into training. It was the easiest way for Erik ten Hag to actually just say, no, you're not coming and playing this game. You can't play this game because you didn't turn up for bleeding training because you were too ill because of the chemic and the and the beer. So really, you're not going to come in. So that was an easy one. Any manager, even one without a backbone, could make that decision. But then straight away, we knew it was the big challenge. What happens against Wolves? Rashford walks straight back into the side. Yeah, he scored a goal in that game and he contributed. Very done. But the principle is that he shouldn't have been in that side. And that's the difference now compared to then. And that, I feel, is because of Ruben Amorim and his principles, his actual level that he wants these players to operate at, and the laws and rules that he wants them to abide by are the same for everybody, every single player. And it just clearly shows that Rashford waltzed around Carrington thinking he owned the place and could do whatever he wanted. Why else would you go out kicking off and making an interview behind closed doors without telling the football club? And we know he didn't tell the club now. So anybody who is trying to make an excuse for Marcus Rashford right now, seriously just needs to look at everything that's gone on and gone, no, it's not. It's time for this player to be put in his place. Ruben Amorim is firmly doing that now, I feel. And that comparison right there is another misdemeanor. He got away with it. He went straight back into the starting lineup ahead of other players that probably deserved it through their work ethic and what was happening in training. Ruben Amorim has come in and said, if you train well, it doesn't matter what squad number you are, your ego, how long you've been at the football club, you are just going to be part of a squad. And if you work hard, you train hard, you listen, you have got a chance of being in that matchday squad and the team. Clearly, again, Marcus Rashford went back into training yesterday. I don't know if he did or he didn't. I'm going to say he did because Ruben Amorim said he was expecting all of the squad in. He's obviously looked at him again and said no. He's probably looked at him and gone, even if you did train well today, because of what you've done, you're not going to be in this matchday squad. So there's the difference. And really, like I just said then, it doesn't matter how long down the line we're looking at Rashford, the situation, how long it drags out for. The whole point about this is what Ruben Amorim is doing to the squad and how important it is that he holds to his rules, he holds to what he stands by, and these players have to fall in line with it. If they don't, It doesn't matter. And he's already hit the biggest name in the team right now. So we know going forward, he has got complete control of this squad and no one is going to fall out of line. And what he has done and how he's handled this situation, even if Rashford doesn't leave, everybody in that squad now knows that he is the man. He's the one in charge, and you have to play by his rules. It's as simple as that. Massive statement made. I don't care about anything else right now, but the biggest thing to take from is how these players react to Ruben Amorim, and it looks like he's getting the reaction. He then goes into what happened with Garnacho and his reaction to being out. And you heard it there in the press conference clip. Garnacho is a little bit upset with him. That's great. That's how I would be as a player, he said. I would be upset if I got left out of the squad. But he trained well, he said. His reaction has been really good. And this is what he wanted to see from the players. This is how you would, as a professional footballer, or are supposed to, as a professional footballer, react when the man in charge of you, yes, your coach, the manager, tells you to do something or he's unhappy with you. You can go and spit your dummy out, or you can knuckle down and train. And Garnacho looks like he has done the latter and got down to it, got himself back in the matchday squad. He's a little bit upset, but hopefully this is a lesson learned for a young lad. And going forward, he'll take this on and he'll use it for the rest of his career. Like, you cannot mess around at big clubs. I just feel like Manchester United was so poorly run before that players probably did think that they could get away with it. And it's no surprise that agents were walking and waltzing around Carrington, doing what they wanted, thinking they could do what they wanted in terms of manipulating the way things were run. Certain players needed to play. All of that we were all bitching and moaning about and complaining about, which was right in what we were saying about players getting preferential treatment, the favouritism rumours that were coming out in contracts with players about how much game time they had to play. Agents, basically, like I've always said, running everything in football. It does look right now that we're upsetting quite a lot of people, but the one thing I will say is Manchester United and Ruben Amorim, we're upsetting the right people because they're not getting their way. And that is everything that I take from just this week alone so far, coming up to the game tonight. He has got complete control of the situation and he just laughs it off. It's just another day in the office for Ruben Amorim, and I absolutely love him. I think he's the exact right man for Manchester United. He has just got a grip of everything that's wrong and is spinning it around into positives. Garnacho, who'd have thought last season that we'd have been seeing him dropped out of a matchday squad and then being upset with a manager? We'd have thought this is, oh, here we go, here's carnage, here's another episode of the circus of Manchester United again. Garnacho's not happy with the manager now. Not with Ruben Amorim, he's just laughing it off. This is how I would have been, this is great. You can probably see just by his character and how he is in press conferences and when he speaks to the media, how he is with the players. He's probably jokingly got an arm around him, he's messing around with him on the training ground, making sure that he's got his upbeat and everything. But look, the one thing that these players are, and the biggest positive again is, these players like Garnacho and Rashford, they're going to walk back into a squad and no one in that squad is going to be on their side. No one in that squad. They're all just going to laugh it because they're all getting an opportunity under Amorim. And it's the players that are expected to walk into this side that are not happy right now. But everybody else, it's a massive outnumber job. And this is where these players are making mistakes. But Garnacho looks like he's actually realised his mistake, whereas Rashford's gone about it the wrong way. Honestly, answer it right now. I'm going to come to the chat. How would you feel as a player seeing what Rashford's done so many times right now and then done it again because other players are getting in this squad ahead of him and he's dropped out? And let's not forget, he's done this after Manchester United won the derby without him. And he's still gone and done it. It's unbelievable. As a player in that squad, I wouldn't want to know him. I would be saying, what are you even doing here? Why are you even bothering? You don't want to be here. Honestly, obviously teammates get behind each other and obviously you got to put an arm around them and that, but how many times can you let a player off? If I'm Casemiro there, I'm Bruno Fernandes, I'm looking at experienced footballers there who are looking at Marcus Rashford waltzing around like he owns the place and should just walk right back into that side and the attitude and what he's done. Oh my God, inside Casemiro's head right now and where he's been and the pressure at Real Madrid, which is 10 times what it is at United, and what he is as a professional footballer and how he conducts himself. Imagine what he's thinking right now inside about what Marcus Rashford has done. It's an absolute embarrassment to the football club, an embarrassment to himself and his teammates. And I'm so happy that Ruben Amorim has literally grabbed control of the situation instantly after a day, dealt with it the way that he should do as a Manchester United head coach, and now we're moving on. And all we're looking at now is the game against Spurs. Yeah, there are obviously different things we can pick up from the press conference, and I'll come into the chat on this now and find out what you guys are all thinking. Over 1,100 in the room already. Let's get through a few super chats as well. Over 100 likes as well in the bag. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on the morning show. Make sure you give the video a like and subscribe to Forever United TV. We're getting closer to that 67,000 subscriber mark now. Just over 100 away. Wow, that moved quick. Enjoy writing with the first super chats. Massive match tonight, by the way. Thanks, Marcus. Another super chat from him says, I wouldn't put it past the gym to just pay him out. Oh, I wish he could. I really do. And another super chat from Marcus One Touch says, so proud of our fans for seeing through this desperate Marcus Rashford PR circus. Love you all. Big win tonight. The big red machine is turning round, guys. Yes, it feels like it is, and a win tonight would be absolutely huge. Obviously, we have got the warm-up show later on as well, everybody, where we'll be looking into detail of the game, what we can see happening, predictions, teams. Spurs have got a lot of injuries. Obviously, no Van der Ven and Romero in that defence as well. Good chance for Manchester United's forwards to take advantage of that, I feel, later on this evening as well. So, yes, don't forget, that'll be all coming up later on as well. I think we're going to be in and around about 5 o'clock-ish, around about that time. Or maybe, actually, I'll keep you posted anyway. But between 4 and 5, we'll be having the warm-up show later on, everybody, looking up ahead to the game. So make sure you're there for that one. And then, obviously, the watch-along. And me and Jay will be back after the game with the full-on breakdown show as to what has happened at the Spurs Stadium. And hopefully United into the semi-final with, I think, what was it last night? Liverpool, Newcastle and Arsenal. So not an easy draw in the semi-final if we get through either. But into the comment section we go. Let's get into this now. Usman Bellows says, this Rashford thing is getting boring. The team is starting to move forward, but this ego has to always make it about themselves. I think Ruben Amorim must put it to bed, personally. I think he'll deal with him. Obviously, the headlines will come from his actions, but the way that Amorim is not talking about it and is dealing with it is the best thing. Like I said yesterday, I'm so glad that he's an action rather than words sort of guy. He has to obviously answer certain questions that are asked, and he's answered them really well, I think. But still, when it comes to what he does, it's all about the team selection. It's all about what he's getting from the players. We can visibly see what he's saying by what he's doing, if that makes sense. And that's what I love about it. Tom says, Garnacho clearly has a strong mentality. He's still young and needs a bit of guidance. True. And he's going to get that by the sounds of it from Ruben Amorim. Interesting information coming up on Garnacho and Rashford regarding transfers as well. I'm going to get into that later on in this show. Let's take a leaf of Ruben Amorim's book and focus on the game. Let's not spend days and weeks talking about Rashford day in, day out. We like we did with Ten Hag. Ruben will deal with the drama, not our job. Yes, it is our job because we're fans, Chris, and we will always talk about what's going on at the club. If people don't like to listen to the news and exactly what's going on, then that's up to them. But we will always talk about everything that is going on at Manchester United because we're fans and we pay the wages of these players. We are invested into this club. And yes, it's good to talk about the game when it comes around. But when you've got people throwing this right back in your face, it is going to keep on being talked about, I'm afraid. Some people don't like it. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. This is United, and it's always going to be that way, everyone. Spider Rico, back to the Rocky days. Discussing how some men are making this about race. Rashford is not being singled out because he's black. He doesn't give a toss. Real supporters just want those who love and give everything. Exactly that. I mean, if some people are doing that, then you're pathetic, to be honest. It's all about football, and that's it. And what he's not doing. This coach is a no-nonsense guy. Players going in media for sympathy, sorry for themselves, let them better deliver. I mean, to be honest, in terms of players going to the media, they ain't going to get any sympathy from the media right now. All this media has been doing is slagging every single one of these players off. So when he goes to the media, yeah, they're going to accept it, and they're going to do it for the actual scoop, aren't they, and getting the story out there and the headline for them. But reality is, look, I've seen it. I've heard what what the media have been saying and the journalists have been saying. And you've seen Samuel Luckhurst. He's pretty much made it very clear how he feels about Marcus Rashford. And all of the dirty laundry will come out. Like, the club will not be able to stop journalists writing about certain things that the journalists have that have witnessed and seen, like what Samuel Luckhurst did on Marcus Rashford. They're going to pick up on everything. That's their job, obviously, and it is going to be, I think, even more difficult for the players. Look, if the players are doing well on the pitch, it makes their life so much easier. Obviously, everyone's happier when you're winning, aren't they? But if you're kicking up a stink and you're not playing well and results are bad, then the media are there with the knives, and they always will be. And sadly, for a lot of United players, for them, it's going to be a tough old ride. Watch Garnacho shoots on site tonight. As always, he doesn't listen to manager's instructions. He plays for himself. If Amorim can change this about Garnacho, then he may become a top player. Well, let's see if he does. Ginge. He might be the same old, then he'll have to deal with the consequences. But like I said, the one thing that we do know is that Garnacho is going to get a chance because he's training hard. If he doesn't listen to instructions, we know that Ruben Amorim will take him out. And the same with every player. It's like, if you're not doing it, out you come. Xerxes didn't do it. He came out, hasn't started a game, or didn't start the derby. Like, he had a chance against Pilsen to really stake a claim, but we needed Rasmus Højlund to come on and save it for us. So, really, you can see what Ruben Amorim's doing. There's extreme circumstances in what we dealt with at weekend with Garner and Rashford, but there are also in-game play and quality of play and listening to instructions that Ruben Amorim has had to deal with as well. And we've seen that. Unfortunately, bigger headlines have taken over, like we are talking about now. But still, when you look at what Ruben Amorim is doing, every player gets a chance, apart from Eriksen. And I shouldn't laugh at that because it's weird how he hasn't. But every player has been given a chance, and every player has been subbed off or rested at one point under Ruben Amorim already. It's like everyone goes on about Bruno Fernandes getting starts every single game and playing every game, but even Bruno Fernandes, for his standards, has had a lot of time off in terms of games, like being brought off with 20 minutes near enough to go against Forest. That's unheard of, but Ruben was taking the chances. He learnt from that, and what happens in the next game? He leaves Bruno Fernandes on. Well, he wasn't doing particularly well, and bang, the creation for the winning goal, which has set everything in motion, the vibes, going into the derby then on a win, and winning in the derby with Bruno again involved in that. You can see, can't you? Ruben understands, and I think he's getting to grips with what's happening at Manchester United and every single player in this team right now, and it is really, really good to see. Really good to see. In terms of what's happening with Rashford and Garnacho, there are some rumours going around, and there are some people reporting that I've looked through, because I always look through just to see if there's anyone talking about anything else. Obviously, transfer window is open in less than 2 weeks' time, everybody. Don't forget it. We talked last night about the left wing-back situation, but also there are rumours going around about Garnacho supposedly being on that list of players to be sold. We did touch on it last night, but again, there is someone, actually, I think it come from Caught Offside as well, from another report that they were talking about from a journalist, saying that there has there has been a bid already for Garnacho to take on loan with an obligation of a 60 million option to buy him at the end of the season, which is, I don't see these things happening. I know Ruben Amorim managed without him and Rashford against City, but I'm looking at squad depth. I'm looking at everything that is happening right now in terms of, if something does go wrong or keeps going wrong, he's going to keep dropping players out the matchday squad. He needs other players to come in, is what I'm saying. Mount's injured now for 2 months, so really we've lost a player to come in instead of Garnacho and Rashford, and needs must. These players will play. I think Rashford will play for United. I do. I don't think you can keep leaving him out of the squad unless he's an absolute ass, which honestly I wouldn't put it past him, but I would actually feel like he would realise that he wants to actually play football, and there would be some mini compromise for the time of the season and what's actually happening where Rashford does come back into the team. But Mount missing, you can't get rid of players in January, I don't think. Like, if the right offer's there, fair enough, you take it, but it has to be with someone in line to replace the player. And for Garnacho to go for 60 million, it's a decent bid. It's a decent bid, and I don't know who it is. The reports are not saying, but saying one top team in Europe has looked at Garnacho as a possibility. And with United putting, obviously, the feelers out there as to testing the water as to who might actually be interested in certain players, Garnacho carries immense value to Manchester United because he's homegrown as well. And he will be classed as a homegrown player, 100% profit. 60 million, that's a lot of profit. A lot of profit. And that would just completely, near enough, if you sold Garnacho and Rashford, it would completely wipe clean Manchester United and give them everything they needed to go into the summer and spend on bringing in 4 or 5 top quality players. That's how big that is. And I don't know if this is true. Obviously, the rumours are rife because the window is about to open. But still, what we've got to look at is that we haven't got enough. We cannot be affording to be letting players go out on loan. Like, not both of them. If someone comes in for Rashford and he goes out on loan with obligation to buy at the end of the season, fair enough. Like, I can understand that one because he really hasn't offered us anything this season. But Garnacho as well, I can't see both going. Look, I mean, if the bids came in and the offers were there in January, money-wise, yes, I think United would sell both players. But obligations to buy with a loan, I don't think that works for United. The be-all and end-all is giving Amorim the tools to get into the Champions League this season. And it is realistic. And I still think top 4 is on. And I'll keep on saying it. But I think Europa League we can win. I think top 4 we can get. He does need a squad. Eventually the injuries are going to catch up with us again. Mason Mount we can't rely on now. So he's one of his best number 10s that he's got that's worked the best for him so far. He's not going to be available for 90 minutes from now until the end of the season. We can safely say that, can't we? And Mason Mount, he's out now until February, according to the reports after this latest injury, which he did touch on in the press conference as well. He said he's got to go to a specialist. Well, when you go into a specialist, you're done, aren't you? So you've got him, you've got Xerxes, who isn't fitting in, and is definitely not his first choice. He has used Rashford, he's used Garnacho. I think ideally he would like Garnacho in there alongside Bruno, in my opinion. And then I think he's got options then in midfield to cover the 8 and the 6. I think he's got more options there than he has 10s right now. I think he wants Bruno, Garnacho and Rasmus Højlund. Right now I would say that was his 3 without Mount being there. That's United's ideal 3. We'll see tonight if Garnacho actually makes it into the actual starting lineup, by the way, because there's every chance that might happen. A fully rested forward who hasn't played for over a week, that's a tool for Ruben Amorim right now in what he wants. And he will be expecting a lot from Ghana tonight. But going back to the fact that Manchester United would sell both players, they would only sell both players in January if they were real offers where they would take money for both players. Loans for both, I can't see it. Loan for Rashford with obligation, I think can happen. I really do, but not Garnacho. Summertime, that may change. But whoever it is who apparently is offering Garnacho, offering money for Garnacho at the end of the season, I don't know. It won't happen, no. I can pretty much guarantee it. Like I said, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes at United, but it's quite clear that United can't afford to lose any more players. And we have got players coming through. By the way, last night, star performance again from Obi Martin and Biancheri. Hat-trick and a double. Obi Martin scoring from a free kick as well. Manchester United absolutely smashed it last night in terms of that game against Coventry. And 5-0 win. I mean, you look at that game there. Manchester United, 5-0 win there. In terms of the goal scorers, in terms of the players coming through at Manchester United, could any of them make it in this season if Marcus Rashford is gone? Obviously, we're looking here at two teenagers that really... I'm scared. I feel better with them players coming through because Ruben Amorim's a manager. If it was Ten Hag, I'd be petrified about these players coming through right now. And I've always said that, and I've always stood by it. I've always said, look, I don't want these young players to be coming into a Manchester United side that's struggling and are all over the place. It's not fair on them, and it's not fair for their development. But Biancheri and Obi Martin, the way that they're going in the under-18s this season, and it's not the under-21s, remember that. There's another level down, another level up from the 18s. But the promise And you know what? There is that option there for United that we don't have to go out and get a striker, maybe. Will one of these players on Manchester United's academy books right now fill a spot in that matchday squad in case we need to bring a player on? Yes. I can't see us, like I said, letting both Garner and Rashford go. I think Garner there's hope for, Rashford not. Maybe one of Man United strikers, Wheatley, Biancheri, Obi Martin, over the space of this season, start to come through into matchday squads and just be there as an option for United to come on and give us another spark up front. You don't know. Maybe. We've got 17-year-olds popping up all over the bleeding place in the Premier League right now. Why not at Manchester United? I know that goes against what I've said before. I think they still need a bit more development, but it's there. And there is prospects coming through. So, a great sign last night. And a complete different end of the spectrum. You've got one academy graduate in Marcus Rashford who has thrown his career away. And you've got two young lads scoring all the goals in a 5-0 win in the under-18s, really looking and striving to make their way up to the first-team squad. It isn't doom and gloom at Manchester United at all. I feel like we have got some serious talent coming through that could make a mark. And the more I try and put it off, the more they convince me every time they play that they may just be sneaking in. I mean, Morehouse's performance when Ruben Amorim was watching in that win against Southampton the other weekend, he apparently has attracted attention from Ruben Amorim as well. And let's be honest, we've not seen anything of training. Manchester United shut comms down, so we don't even know if any of these lads are actually training the first team this week. We haven't heard anything of it because of Marcus Rashford, basically, clicking up a stink, and normal protocols as to what we find out from the media about United has been thrown out the window because of one man. I'd have a look at Mainu at 10 as an option. He can play at 10, we know that, and I think he will move into that role as well. I think interchanging with, like, even if you've got Mainu in at 10 and Bruno in at 8 with Agate, there are options there. There are plenty of rotational options for Ruben Amorim, I feel, as well, with this Man United side. And it's exciting to see if he does change it up a little bit. In terms of Marcus Rashford as well, by the way, there is reports going around, some saying that Barcelona are the favourites. He wants to go to Spain. Barcelona would take him, but can't afford his wages. That's the difference. And we all know how Barcelona work. We all know that Manchester United have been after certain Barcelona players. So there are rumours going around, and I'm not going to just say these are definite and this is what's happening, but there are rumours going around that Manchester United could approach a swap with Barcelona, an option. Obviously, we know about Frenkie de Jong as an option that we've always wanted. And of course, you've got Araujo as well, the centre-back, who United have been linked with quite a lot, who is an outstanding centre-back. And if you were said to me right now, Barcelona want to swap Araujo for Marcus Rashford, where's the bleeding paper? Sign the deal right now. See you later. Gone. Don't get him in, get Rashford out. I would go for that deal. But yeah, I know Christmas is round the corner, and that would be about 10 Christmases coming in at once for me. If Araujo came in for bleeding Rashford, that would be the ideal scenario. But yeah, no, again, I've got to just keep looking. I'm trying to keep my reality cap on and not get carried away. Anything is possible with Ineos. And I feel like we are going to have a significant couple of transfer windows with players in and out. But it's like I didn't think about swaps before for the Rashford situation. But maybe. I mean, is there anyone out there that you would swap him with? I'm going to get into the comments now and give you your chance to have your say. Is there anyone out there that you would go out and offer Marcus Rashford in a swap? In fact, there's a few Barcelona players there. Would you swap any Barcelona player for Manchester United? Go, get into the chat right now. Let's just see. Anyone who doesn't want to talk about Rashford, honestly, it's okay to tune out. I've not got a problem with it. We're talking about what is actually going on, and people do want to know more detail on it. I'm sorry if you don't like it, but it's just the way it is. Topics are topics. But who would you swap him with? Who would you swap him with right now? Please keep them likes coming in. We're almost at that 300 live like mark. 1,500 people in the room, but only 250 likes. I'm sure you could get them thumbs up a little bit more, everybody. Thank you. Make sure you have subscribed as well. Who would you swap Marcus Rashford for in Barcelona's side? If you could right now and get a deal done, give me a name. Go for it. Rashford costing the club over $15 million a year to sulk around and do very little on the pitch. Money better spent on younger prospects with the right attitude. Definitely agree with that one, Emperor. PC Master says, clubbing Dior is plausible, but legend must stay consistent, at least on the dance floor. No lazy, no fake press. Stay humble. Interesting comment. Yamal is an obvious one. Not going to happen. Rafinha. There's an interesting one. Good shout from Stu there in the chat. Rafinha, I feel, has come on leaps and bounds. Like, under Hansi Flick, like, how good has Rafinha got for Barcelona? Like, ridiculous. Going back to just that, I know it's an obvious example, but his hat-trick in the Champions League the other week, he is an outstanding player on his day. And it's crazy to think that you've got a player that's gone from Leeds into Barcelona. Like, there are talents within players, but are just at wrong clubs. And you can unearth that raw talent. You know what? I would take Rafinha. I think Rafinha is a very, very good player. I would. If we're just looking at simple swaps for Marcus Rashford right now, Pedri would be an obvious one as well. Obviously, let's take out the equation anyone who we know that are definitely not going to leave Barcelona. Like, you're not going to get Yamal, you're not going to get Pedri, you're not going to get the darlings of Barcelona. But Araujo, yes. Olmo has only just gone there. He isn't going to come to Manchester United. Would you take Frenkie de Jong? Would you take him? Honestly, that's a tough one for a lot of people. I know he would give a lot more effort than what Marcus Rashford is doing. I know he comes in a position that we really need in a 10. And I think he'd be excellent as a United 10. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a front three of Højlund, Bruno, and Frenkie de Jong? Or even Garnacho if he wants to pull his finger out. Or, you know what? It does, doesn't it? It gives you excitement. You could have Bruno in at number 8, and you could have Garnacho, Frenkie, and Rasmus Højlund. You've got quality on the ball all over the pitch there, haven't you? Then, but I know it's like it feels like a fairy tale sort of made up scenario, doesn't it? It really does. Rafinha, not a 10. We are moving away from that profile. Look, it still doesn't matter. Profile of player is what Ruben Amorim sees in characteristics. These players do move out and come all over the pitch. So Rafinha could definitely fit at United still, I reckon. I don't think he will be a top one. I think if you're looking at anyone like Frenkie de Jong, Araujo definitely at centre-back. Wow. Make that happen if you can. Yes, Frenkie de Jong suit Amorim's style very well. His short passes and long passes are very good. He can keep possession very well, or he can indeed. In football terms, Rashford offers nothing for Amorim's system. Never mind what he's done recently in the press. Get him out ASAP. Well said, Andrew. I agree with that completely. Barcelona, waste of time and tiring. Balvinda, not sure what you mean by that one, mate. But yeah, if we could swap Rashford, because we know that Barcelona would pay Rashford's wages if they could take another big wage off the books, i.e. Araujo, Rafinha, Frenkie de Jong. Look, I'm just putting it out there because the story's there. There's nothing in it, but we just like to find an option. Do you know what? If we're talking about it, United must be talking about it, surely. Good morning, Adam. Absolutely no way should we be letting Garnacho go out on loan. Rashford, question mark, without a doubt. Yes, Mount has to stay away from action until March. For me, Zirkzee could work as a 10. You could see Zirkzee taking his opportunity now. And you know what? He may take it tonight. He may be in the team. Don't forget, around about 4:30, we're going to be doing the warm-up show to the game today for Spurs this evening. So make sure you tuned into that. Make sure that you have hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you know when the content is coming up. But maybe Zirkzee. We might be talking about Zirkzee when we plan this team out tonight. And when we're talking about the game in detail, like, it could be an option for Ruben tonight. And he could take full advantage of Mount's injury. Like, someone has to step up. Someone really has to step up to cover Mason Mount right now. And there are a few players there that can play in that role. So, yeah, I actually feel like silver lining. When one door shuts, another one opens. Maybe this is and could be the start for another player coming through from the pack. With Garnacho and Rashford kicking up stinks and not being flavour of the month, Mount being out, maybe Joshua Zirkzee comes through into United side. Maybe Joshua Zirkzee can be that option there for Manchester United. I don't know. Maybe now, maybe we look at permanently putting Ahmad in at number 10, for instance. I mean, he is going to be our number 10, I think, in the future. But there's another one there. Frenkie de Jong, Ahmad, and Rasmus Højlund as your three. We do need to get the win-backs in situation. And the closer it gets to the January transfer window, the more excited I am actually about United doing business, because I think we will bring in a wing-back in this January transfer. Or a deal could be done, i.e. Alfonso signs a deal to sign for United. We obviously have already got one in Diego Leon that we've signed already as well. Let's not forget him. So moving forward, it looks like things are being put in place and United are positioned very, very well. And that is what we have got to look forward to, I think, going into January. It's not going to be that damp squib usual January transfer window. I think a lot is going to go on. I could see Lindelof and you could actually see 3 first-team players leave in January. If things go well and we do manage somehow to sell Rashford, you've got Lindelof, you've got Eriksen, you've got Rashford, who could all go. That does mean that United will have to think about bringing someone else in. It's going to be very, very exciting. 300 live likes. Thank you so much, everybody. And that is everything pretty much covered. Ruben Amorim is actually making his mark at Manchester United in all the right ways. He really has got to grips with what is going on. Player Power FC is dead and buried, everybody. And Ruben's press conference after the mess that Rashford left us in from that interview with Henry Winter has been well and truly put to bed by our head coach, Ruben Amorim. I'm loving what he's doing. His work is brilliant. And moving forward, I can only be optimistic about how he gets Manchester United moving in the right direction. No egos. All work rate. That is Ruben Amorim's motto, it seems. And there's going to be plenty of players fall short of it. Sooner the better. And what a time for a transfer window to be around the corner, eh? Let's go with that. Get your comments in on the video once the live is finished up, everybody. Thank you so much. Please give the video a like on the way out. Make sure you've hit that subscribe button as well on the way out if you have not already. And I will see you all later on this afternoon for the warm-up show around about 4:30. We are hitting it, looking ahead fully to the Spurs game tonight. And I'll see you all then. Have a fantastic day, everybody. See you